Franco,
Yeah,
that
okay,
is
right.
a fantastic first race. You really didn't put a foot wrong. You finished a few seconds behind Alex. I think, let's reflect on this weekend. You had some qualifying, you keep it clean. You're there and you're able to fight. Well done. This is your first race and I can't wait to see what we build together.
Good morning, beautiful people on the internet. Now, this might be a tad bit weird because Alex Albon, right? Alex Albon, that's my guy. But there's a slight thought going through my brain that's thinking, hey, maybe Alex Albon is overrated. Alex Albon, the driver who got dropped at the end of 2020 because, wow. Well, Verstappen was Verstappen, and he was kind of being dominated. The driver who this season has had the best overtake over the entire season. The driver who is a mere 6 points and has only scored at the tracks that actually really matter. Monaco, Silverstone, Monza. The driver who pretty much single-handedly retired Logan Sargent, Latifi, you name it, but I can't help but sometimes think, is he overrated? I think I should start with where I actually rate Alex Albon on the grid and where a lot of other people rate him. Personally, I rate him very highly, and so do other people. A very consistent driver, a driver who stood on the podium, a driver who, you see, you could compare him to Nico Hülkenberg, a safe set of hands that has gotten unlucky, probably could do better in a better car, but is just unlucky. However, I rate Alex Albon higher than Nico Hülkenberg. I rate him probably similar to Lando Norris, maybe a bit lower, maybe similar to George Russell, maybe a bit lower. He was fighting for the F2 championship when he was in F2 with them three. It was all pretty similar. Might have been a tad bit worse in a worse car, but that's just the luck of the game. Honestly, I'd rate him with like a Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz isn't on the level that Charles Leclerc is, clearly. He isn't a championship contender, but he's good. He scores podiums, wins, races, points, anything you want from just a good driver. It's Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. I rate them very, very similarly in my brain, and I think that a lot of people do that as well. Probably. James Vowles has said that they'll be the best pairing on the grid, and maybe not the best, but definitely the most consistent. I think they're going to be great. However, I still do think that Alex Albon might be a tad bit overrated, potentially. Now, why you might be saying this? Why are you saying Alex Albon is overrated? You clearly like him. You clearly respect the guy, and you want him to do well. Why are you saying he's overrated? Now, for a couple seconds, let's look back at Alex Albon's career. 2019 was, I guess, all right. He did well in the Toro Rosso to be promoted into the Red Bull, and he did all right in the Red Bull to have a Red Bull seat for 2020. 2020, he didn't do that well because Verstappen was just clear. Alex Albon was like, hey, I think I should stop pushing a tiny bit more to get closer to Verstappen. But the second he starts pushing, he bends the car because the car was on like a little needle and it was difficult to drive, and Verstappen had mastered that over the years, and Alex Albon was just thrown into the deep end, was like, yeah, do that. His first year ever he has to compete with Verstappen in a Red Bull, whereas George Russell, it took him 3 years to get to grips with Formula 1 and then get into an alright Mercedes battling against Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris, it took him a couple years to get a good car to challenge for wins and stuff, whereas Albon's just, yeah, there you go. Go have fun. Agreeably, he did get dropped, and it's kind of difficult to get his way back into Formula 1, but he did in the Williams in 2022. But that's where I think the whole overratedness begins, because from 2022, the teammates that he's had have single-handedly been the worst drivers we've had in a long while in Formula 1. Well, not really a long while. There have obviously been a ton of shitters in like the 10s and O's and stuff like that. But if we're comparing him to Nicholas Latifi, right, who we had as a teammate in 2022, That's not a fair comparison. Nicholas Latifi, who forgets the Suzuka track layout. Nicholas Latifi, who no, that's not a good comparison. And fair enough, Alex Albon did cook up in Australia. Fair enough, that was a stunning race. but at the same time, he cooked Latifi throughout the entire season, and people were saying, oh, Alex Albon is so good. Whereas you can't really compare anyone to Nicholas Latifi, can you? Because he's literally at the bottom of the barrel. You could put Mazepin, maybe not. But you know what I'm saying? The thing that stands out for me is when Alex Albon in 2022 had that operation that he had to do in Monza. Nick de Vries replaced him, and Nick de Vries scored points in his debut race for Williams, whereas Latifi was literally nowhere. So if Nick de Vries was better than Nicholas Latifi, and we know what Nick de Vries managed to muster up in the AlphaTauri, getting dropped, then Nicholas Latifi had to have been awful. And now 2023, 2024, he had a teammate of Logan Sargent. In 2023, it looked like Alex Albon was cooking. It looked like Alex Albon was gonna be the next Mercedes contender, the next Red Bull contender. Red Bull, Mercedes, a lot of teams were dishing out contracts to him. They were like, yeah, we want to sign you. We want you for our team. But Alex Albon stayed and was like, no, Williams gave me my big breakthrough. Just like Rusty's gave McQueen his big breakthrough. And when Dynaco offered McQueen a contract, he declined because he wanted to stay loyal. The same thing that Alex Albon declined because he wanted to stay loyal. And, well, it seemed like he was cooking. It seemed like he was one of the best drivers on the grid. He was scoring points. He nearly scored all of the points in that team. He scored 27, whereas Logan Sargent got a lucky singular point. But then yet again, we're comparing him to Logan Sargent. What if the Alex Albon's teammate was an actual good teammate and they both got the same amount of points? What if his teammate got more points than him? Alex Albon 27, and whoever was his teammate, say Carlos Sainz, 50. Maybe the car was just good. Maybe it was a good car, and Logan Sargent was just that bad, and Alex Albon was just struggling. Or not, wait, what? You see, Alex Albon over the last couple years hasn't had a good teammate, and I think that might have slightly overrated him slightly. In 2024 as well, currently, agreed, he's had a couple minor bings and bangs with the wall, which I guess everyone has occasionally, but it was like, Alex Albon? Really? And I guess fair enough. He doesn't bin it a lot anymore, and he's just a consistent driver, a consistent pair of hands to have in your car. And maybe that's the real difference between him and all of the shit drivers, I guess, to say. I mean, Logan Sargent, he was awful, and he got dropped. But now another question sparks. Franco Colapinto stepped in Monza, and in his debut race against Alex Albon, he was cooking, right? Agreed, he did have a bad qualifying, but that was his first ever qualifying, first ever going flat out in that car, like fully pushing. And let's be real, he would have gotten thrown to Q2 if he didn't have that mistake in, what was it, Lesmo 2 when he went off track. Throughout the race in Monza, Alex Albon did score a couple points, right? Fair enough. Let's all applaud him for that. But Franco Colapinto, in his debut race around Monza, was only 14 seconds off Alex Albon. That is like 2.5 tenths, 2.5 tenths per lap that he was slower. And that is a lot when it all adds up. But in your debut race, finishing 12th, where Logan Sargent was finishing 15th, like a minute behind Alex Albon every single race, it says a lot. But then it also cannot say a lot, because Nick de Vries scored points in the Williams around Monza, and that was his debut race. And then he went over to AlphaTauri, and he was awful. I'm not sure whether Colapinto is actually that good, whether he got lucky or Alex Albon didn't have the greatest of races in Monza. I'd say Alex Albon had a pretty good race. I'd say Colapinto also had a very good race. But say over the next couple races, Colapinto closes that gap down, gets more experience, and there is no gap. There is no gap between Albon and Colapinto. Say that big contract that Alex Albon has with Williams, is it actually that good to have that big of a contract? Say by the end of the season, Colapinto's better. Say next season, Sainz absolutely drives through Alex Albon. Albon hasn't had the pressure of having a good teammate to battle against over the last couple of years. Carlos Sainz, his entire career, has been proving himself against teammates. No, I'm better than you. No, I'm fighting you. No. No, it's always been that way. Him against Charles has been a ferocious fight. And if he brings that to Williams, and there's also a ferocious fight, then I think that Alex Albon's gonna get... He's gonna drown. What I'm basing this off is that Alex Albon hasn't had a good comparison, and people are rating him very high, me included. But then Colapinto steps in, and he was marginally cooking. And say Colapinto starts cooking more, and Alex Albon just... Oh. Welcome back to Delusional Discussions, the part of the video where the delusional person, aka me, discusses everything that I've just said. And am I just delusional? Now, it's easy to say, yes, I'm delusional because Alex Albon is a great driver and he's shown that. But yet again, who are we comparing it against? Yet again, will he sink or swim with Carlos Sainz? I hope he will flourish. I pray that he will do absolutely fantastically. And I pray that maybe he'll put Carlos Sainz in his place. Maybe Alex Albon will get the call up to another team. Maybe, I pray, that Williams will actually get back to the top because Williams are the guys. But what if Franco Colapinto does dominate Alex Albon by the end of the season? And what if Carlos Sainz also does the same? Should Alex Albon get dropped entirely? That would be a big shame. I hope that doesn't happen. There's not much more to discuss on Delusional Discussions, so with that said, have a safe, fantastic rest of the day. Like and subscribe, leave your comments down in the comments, because they're the only things that keep me sane. And whilst you're down there, I don't know, don't die until you can't watch other videos, and have a safe, fantastic rest of your day. Peace!
That's all, folks.